The blinding crimson light of hotshot las rounds ripping through the foggy blue haze of the ice mazes of the Frost Hollow. We are the knife-edged resolve of unrefined rebellion, unleashing the primal screams into Innsmouth under Hive 665.66 UHMR Chemrat Radio. Coming to you live tonight from deep inside the sump. And if my map skills here are up to snuff, we are deep behind Glass Eater territory.
At least it's a nice temperate day, Gobbo. No humidity, no acid rain. Maybe a chance for a nice lead hail later on. Why are we even down here, Chac?
I got a lead on a vault. Keep your eyes open for some big old ass vault door. Probably corroded and it'll have Cogboy scrawl all over it.
At least it gets us out of the rust-lung quarantines. Hivers, stay indoors. Don't sneeze on your neighbors. Make sure you wash your hands. And maybe listen to the Arbites.
I knew an Arbites officer once. What was his name? Rawl? Weird guy. Strangely fixated with clocks. Never let me take any overtime. Which is a pain because it takes a while to hose out those cells.
There's a deeper story there. We're going to unpack that one day. I am your neon-drenched plasma freak Goblin King, joined by our senior safety officer. She plans all of our safety briefings, if you know what I mean. The Screen Queen, Emmy.
Yeah, safety briefings. Typically outside in the parking lot, and just kind of wondering if anyone has a sump apple, maybe a red squig can and a belt buckle for our safety meeting.
Maybe a tiny cogitator screen.
Yeah, exactly. I really need that to just kind of, safety purposes.
Leading us knee-deep into the tangled den of the Glass Eaters, it's the rogue archaeo hunter himself, Chac.
Hey guys, how are you doing?
And the master of microscouring, the general of germicides, and the only way we ever get out clean, it's Drew.
Hey everybody, I want to say plasma weaponry, it gets hot, but it also can toast effectively. So
I've never done that with my plasma guns, I guess.
When it overheats, just put it down, and then you can hold two pieces of, like a pumpernickel or a rye up to it, and
some fungi cheese on there.
It gets real well.
Whatever you find. Slice of portobello and some fungi cheese.
Beats an MRE.
Welcome to an episode of Tales from the Hive. We haven't done one of these in a while. This is going to be Tales from the Hive, Cults, Xenos Gods, and Space Whales. We haven't done a Tales from the Hive in a while for a couple of reasons. The main reason is because this is our vehicle to introduce you guys to homebrew lore. And there's been a little bit of a shortage. We're a little bit of a homebrew lore desert. However, I do have 3 new co-hosts, and each of my co-hosts has homebrew lore. So we are back on the homebrew lore train. But if you guys want to be involved with Tales from the Hive, 100% suggest that you join our Discord, start talking to us about your own homebrew lore, ask some questions, get some feedback. We do some creative writing episodes every single time we take a break from whatever our main historical chunk or whatever our main bent is with the podcast itself, specifically to talk about creative writing. Because at the end of the day, one of the major reasons that I started the podcast, one of the major reasons I believe all of these amazing folks join me on the podcast, is I have this huge, just desire to talk about why humans share stories, why humans share games, why humans tell stories, and just creative writing in general. It's really important to me, and I feel that it very much enriches our purpose, and I'm a creative writer, so I love doing this stuff. And as gamers, I feel that we all kind of like collaborative storytelling, so we're into it. We want you guys to be into it. Join us on Discord, start having those conversations, send us your homebrew lore. We want it, we love it, we need to see it. Before we jump into our main topic, we've got one short story for you today, and then we have one homebrew piece of lore today. Before we jump into that, if you guys want a little bit of an extra experience, including some Patreon exclusive content, join us on Patreon, www.patreon.com/underthehiveofmadness. We've got a couple of different tiers up there. Join one of those tiers. It'll get you access to that exclusive content itself and to video versions of the podcast. Plus, at those higher levels, there's some other perks that come into it. And we really encourage you guys, go on over and check it out. We do some monthly giveaways. There's all sorts of cool stuff there. Plus, it just helps us know that you like what we're doing. It helps us continue doing it. And we reinvest the money that we get into the show, whether or not that's developing merchandise for you guys, whether or not that's developing some of the other perks that we're working on behind the scenes through our Patreon all the time, or whether or not that's in updating some of our audio equipment and getting the studios all up and running to the place that we want our content and our quality to be. It all kind of just rolls back into it. So yeah, with that all said, though, without me continuing to go on about giving us your money so we can buy more armies, because that's what everyone really does with Patreon money, right?
No.
For the number of money we've spent on audio equipment, we could have 3 models. No, I'm kidding. The prices aren't that bad yet. Generally, what we do when we do a Lore Obscurus episode is we give you an Ordo Obscurus file. That's some information that's essentially, it's like an SCP file. It's a short story form written a lot like the SCP Foundation stuff is. We designed it specifically that way, and we designed it because we want you guys to start writing some of these too. Again, head over to Discord, get involved in the conversation. You can find rules on how we write these things. But we introduce that before we talk about whatever esoteric topic in the real world we want to talk about, because a lot of what we're doing is essentially illustrating how you can take things that exist around you and turn them into short stories. Short horror stories, short science fiction stories, kind of whatever you want. The last 2 topics we've covered with Ordo Obscurus, both the Goblin universe and then Madame Helena Blavatsky, ended up being 2-parters. And because they were 2-parters, it either becomes really hard to fit. There's a lot of information in a 2-part episode. The reason we do a 2-parter is because it feels like we need to give more dedicated time to it. And because of that, the Ordo Obscurus file in the Madame Blavatsky episode kind of got pushed off, and we're going to present it to you here and now at the top, right up here at the beginning, before we jump into Drew's homebrew lore, which is pretty damn cool in and of itself. So that's what we're going to do. That's our first little step. And Drew, if you want to take us away and give us your cogitator mechanicus voice to get us started.
La 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 la.
Do your vocal exercises.
Vox Cogitator Net Access Ordo Obscurus Inquisitorial Archive Segmentum Obscurus Carcosan Sector Classification Vermilion File Number Omen Carsec KE0167 Object Class Hereticus Aberrant Disruption Class Extreme Risk
Site and personnel requirements. Under Ordo Malleus High Inquisitor.
Redacted.
Special orders. The following addendum is attached to data file Omen Carsec KE0167. All Ordo personnel assigned to KE0167 must rotate off assignment after a period of no longer than 30 standard Terran days to undergo psychohypnotic interrogation. KE0167 is to be secured along with a single copy of KE0167A and KE0167B in an undisclosed location. All personnel assigned to this site will be transported through Site Zeta 216 by a random servitor route in isolation stasis pods. The transport will be overseen by Shadowbreaker forces operating under Omega-6 Exterminus protocols. Personnel will undergo psycho-indoctrination and interrogation upon arriving at site.
Redacted.
With a minimum score of 82.5% on the Raven or Kasten scale being required. They must be unmarried, have no children, and hold interrogator-level access or special permission from the High Savant. Personnel who express sympathy towards KE0167 or express a desire to rescue or aid in any escape attempt will be eliminated with extreme prejudice. Shadowbreaker operatives assigned to site
Redacted.
are ordered to follow constant rotational protocols and never spend more than 2 standard Terran days within KE0167's containment ward. Shadowbreaker operatives are not required to divulge any personnel information or names to anyone aside from the High Savant. Personnel and operative names are to remain redacted at all times. On-site personnel assigned to directly interact with KE0167, KE0167A, or KE0167B will be issued concealing environmentally sealed Class 3 body armor. Body armor will be devoid of rank, name, or any insignia. and personnel must wear it at all times when not confined to their private quarters. Site
Redacted.
Shadowbreaker operatives are referred to by codes Alpha through Zeta and carry the authority of the High Lords of Terra throughout the facility. Inquisitorial containment procedures. KE-0167 is to be remanded to a soundproof suite of holding cells built from hexagrammatically warded transparent plasteel, further contained within a 13-sided ferrocrete walled vault, observed at all times by 7 Omega-class personnel and a full sensory array, including full-spectrum PICT coverage. 13 hexagrammically warded gun servitors further monitor all assigned personnel, operating under Omega-6 Exterminatus protocol. Malfunctioning equipment or personnel are to be replaced without delay by a psi-nulled Mechanicus thrall. Each wall contains a single heavy adamantium door with a tetramolecular cyclonic lock, no more than one of which is to ever remain unsealed at any given time. Shadowbreaker operative patrols equipped with psych-sniffing razor mastiffs patrolled the ward's outer hallways and monitoring stations. KE-0167 is allowed a small library of Ordo-approved books, an inkwell, a parchment paper, and a no-sphere-nulled data slate. All interior furniture is built from psi-nulled fitted wood, containing no metal fasteners or accents. Furniture is arranged so as to provide not a single angle hidden from no less than 7 pick feeds. Food and water are dispensed 3 times a day by a servitor, overseen by a Shadowbreaker and Razor Mastiff. During this time, KE-0167 is confined to the bedroom of the suite, which is remotely secured for its duration. The cell is cleaned once a week following similar protocols. A single copy of KE-0167A and KE-0167B are kept on sublevel 1313 of Site
Redacted.
and only made available for active review under Scarlet or higher Rosette authorization or by special discretion of the High Savant. At no time is KE-0167 allowed within 300 meters of either grimoire. Special Containment Addendum. KE-0167's written works have an endemic influence throughout many Imperial worlds, leading to the formation of the many branches of the cult that calls itself the Whispering Veil. This cult operates under extreme secrecy and possesses a significant threat due to its xeno-heretical practices and psychic rituals. Ordo Obscurus and Shadowbreaker agents have been embedded within key population centers across the Carcosan sector and tasked with monitoring potential recruitment activity. These agents are authorized to enact Omega-9 containment if needed. Omega-9 containment. Infiltration. Undercover operatives infiltrate suspected cult gatherings and identify leadership cells. Priority is given to securing cult leaders for further interrogations. Disruption protocol. Strike teams authorized by Lord Inquisitor Ordo Obscurus are tasked with neutralizing cult strongholds. Use of psychically shielded operatives and heavy combat teams is mandatory to resist psychic and warp influencing effects during raids. Purge and burn. Upon neutralizing primary cell cults, thorough purges of the facility must be conducted, including destruction of all Xenos artifacts and forbidden texts. Psychic wards must be reinforced following purges to contain residual warp taint. Targeted interrogations. Captured members must undergo psychic interrogation overseen by Ordo Savants. Survivors are to be terminated following extraction of any useful intelligence.
Description brief. KE-0167 was once the human poet and remembrancer to the
Redacted.
Legion named Cataleth and Tornme. While studying on ancient Xenos tome under the tutelage of
Redacted.
Cataleth became entranced. Over a standard Terran month, he would author 8 works detailing an ancient faith he referred to as the Kamahanti. Physiological changes began in KE-0167 almost immediately and followed a similar expression to the
Redacted.
experienced by members of the
Redacted.
Legion, as the later recounted by the 6th Legion kill team that captured him. These changes were documented by others in the Remembrancer Order, even as KE-0167 began to share his 8 text that he identified as the Universal Foundation. By the time he was apprehended by the 6th Legion during the Battle of
Redacted.
in the capital city of
Redacted.
and brought back to Terra to face his crimes at the foot of the Emperor, his physiologically was barely classified as even abhuman. The so-called faith of the sleeper beneath had also taken hold throughout the 28th Expeditionary Fleet and rooted itself deep within the Remembrancer Order itself. Imperial records are scant, but KE-1067 was confined to Blackstone Prison rather than being executed for his crimes due to a rumored familiar connection within the Council of Terra. Imperial scholars also point to the vast and rapid transmutation into his new Xenos form as being of particular interest to the Imperial's biotechnical division. No records exist between his confinement shortly before the Siege of Terra and M39, where he was apprehended by Inquisitor Ariana Neidhart and her Death Watch operatives on the hive world of Tarkin 9. The 8 techs captured with him on
Redacted
by the Space Wolves were bound by order of Malcador the Sigillite into 2 tomes to remove the power of their original 8-fold pattern. While copies of these works can be destroyed, some twisted nature of the warp always returns these original 2 grimoires to their original state. Addendum Epsilon 87, Understanding the Sleeper Songs. When captured by the 6th Legion, Primarch Leman Russ himself ordered the 8 techs burned, destroying them for the first time. While in transit to Terra, 8 of the captured cultists became covered in letter tattoos, each bearing the entire verse of one of the 8 texts. By their arrival to Terra, each of these cultists was dead, having flayed their own flesh to rebuild the text page by page. The Sigillite himself then delivered the 8 texts to the Sisters of Silence, who destroyed them in a null chamber. 6 months later, Custodes operative found a conclave of the Whispering Veil in possession of the 8 texts. In the compound, the cultists had set aside a room in veneration. It contained 8 flayed and mummified bodies. KE-0167, referred to as the Sleeper Beneath, no longer resembles the man it once was in all but the most superficial of ways. Closer to the height of a fully armored Asartes warrior, the Xenos human abomination is slim and lithe. Each hand ends in 8 fingers and each foot in 8 toes. Its skin is rubbery and pale, verging on an almost translucent white that barely hides the pulsing green-gold blood that moves through his veins. Where Codaleth and Torme was infamous for the vainglory he held in his royal brown ringleted hair, KE-1067 is completely devoid of any. Its eyes, nails, and even the interior flesh of his mouth is a black which conjures visions of a deep and empty void. 2 additional arms have grown from its frame, just below those of a standard human, on the exterior of its ribs, and a set of tentacles have burst from its back, roughly along the upper crest of the shoulder blade. KE-0167 has the ability to access pockets of dimensional space when needed, seeming to blur or blink in and out of reality. It also displays a deep mastery of the warp and its own psychic powers. These factors have all proven to make it nearly impossible to injure or kill. By ancient and mostly forgotten order, the High Lords of Terra, KE-0167 was to be apprehended and questioned about the unrealities of the great enemy. It is believed that it could offer many insights into the nature of the planet of sorcerers and the current disposition of the 15th Legion. Addendum Epsilon 88, The Whispering Veil. The Whispering Veil is a xeno-heretical cult devoted to the communion with an ancient Xenos entity known as the Sleeper Beneath. The cult operates under the guise of a simple death cult, but wields considerable psychic power, believed to be gifted by this entity or by its patron. Cult members regularly partake in forbidden rituals designed to amplify their psychic connection, leading to mass possession, insanity, and warp corruption. The cult's influence has grown insidiously within various worlds across the Carcosan sector. Recruitment is primarily conducted among disenfranchised populations, offering false promises of enlightenment and the satisfaction of communion into a higher power. The cult's rituals often involve blood sacrifices, and they have been linked to numerous mass disappearances and psychic disturbances in areas where they operate.
From the personal notes of Inquisitor Ariana Neidhart. I first encountered the Whispering Veil on the hive world Tarkon 9 during an investigation into mass disappearances and psychic anomalies, which had left local Arbites powerless to stop the surge of violent uprisings attributed to cult activity in the Underhive, necessitating Ordo Malleus's intervention. Upon infiltrating the cult's inner sanctum between Hive Hab districts Narcassus 13 and 14, my operatives encountered mass gatherings of indoctrinated followers chanting in an unknown Xenos dialect. The rituals involve Xenos glyphs carved into stone tablets and the blood of human sacrifices who had been flayed alive, used to empower the psychic manifestation. My ally, Deathwatch Commander Horst, immediately led his men in a strike that attempted to disrupt the rituals. We were met with stiff resistance as the underground compound reacted to us like a seething nest of vipers. The cultists hammered down on my team with heavy bolters and las cannons, emplacements stolen from Mechanicum Forge complexes, while renegades of foot tore into us with autoguns before closing in with crude chain weapons. Powerful psychers among the cult blanketed our senses, burning out my own bound witch, but that was merely the beginning as we fought on the ringing chant, which I at first took to be more meaningless Xenos vitriol resolved into a single repeated phrase, the sleeper beneath. The creature that burst forth at this relentless call burst my Null's eardrums and boiled his eyes. Its raw power shredded away even my psychic wards and peeled layers of my terror-blessed armor off like paper. The Death Watch fell upon this creature almost as soon as it arrived, their own operatives leaving the fight against what seemed to be the entire Underhive to my own dwindling forces. We were lucky, for Harrick Longshank, formerly of the Space Wolves, had some scant remembrance of this elder being, shouting out for the Death Watch to employ null spikes, which they were finally able to plunge into the creature's non-corporeal hide. As its first power faltered and then waned, the cult reacted as if entranced. Ruthgar Vestin, commander of my personal retinue, was able to rally what was left of the Arbites forces dispatched under my command, and my operatives took the hard-gone emplacements and turned them onto the sea of stunned cultists. When the dust settled, Ruthgar, myself, and 7 Arbites survived the assault. Of the Death Watch, only Commander Castican Horst and the Space Wolf Harrick Longshank survived the original 10-man kill team. They brought the sleeper beneath to its knees before me, and I bound it with all the remainder of my own psychic strength. During the 3 months it took to clean up the cult's warrens, I eventually would uncover these 2 blasphemous grimoires, and although I destroyed them by the time we reached site to secure our prisoner, 8 of the other cultists I meant to interrogate had flayed themselves alive, leaving the 2 Emperor-forsaken tomes in my cargo hold.
Inquisitorial after-action report. Although the initial raid succeeded in neutralizing many cult members, rumors suggested that high psychic Gethrar Zar remained at large. Zar is believed to be a high-level psychic capable of channeling the powers of the sleeper beneath to influence and dominate lesser psychers. Addendum. Interrogation report KE0004-Beta. Captured cultist Talia Rain, a mid-level acolyte of the Whispering Veil, was subject to psychic interrogation. Under duress, Rain revealed that the cult seeks to weaken the barriers between the Materium and the Immaterium, intending to bring forth the Astra Akami, the Sleeper's master, an ancient Xenos deity, into real space. They believe that this entity will reward them with eternal life and power in this coming apocalypse. When pressed on the nature of this entity, Rain described it as being a vast, many-winged manta of psychic energy, ancient beyond reckoning, that resides in the dark spaces lost between stars, dreaming ever for its return. Incident report KE0307-Beta. Following Rain's execution, unexplained psychic phenomenon was detected near her containment cell, including sudden drops in temperature and whispered voices heard by nearby agents. Psychic wards have since been strengthened, and the watch has been placed on heretics who were previously in contact with Rain, as residual psychic contamination may lead to further outbreaks of cult activity. Special Addendum. Inquisitorial interrogation. Detainees. Talia Rain, a mid-level acolyte of the Whispering Veil. Interrogator. Inquisitor Ariana Nightheart. Interrogation brief. Subject. Objective. Extract intelligence of the cult's inner workings, leadership structure, and their connection to the sleeper beneath.
Begin log. Cogitator net 138.456M39.
Who leads the cult, Rain? What is the purpose of the rituals? You think you can stop it? Sleeper's master is already stirring. It know you. It watching you through its divine eyes, void-blessed eyes. We are but its servants, Inquisitor. You too will hear the whispers, soon enough. You speak nonsense. Tell me about Gethran Zaw. Where is he? He is gone now, where you will never reach him. The Sleeper's master protects him now, and soon you will join us when walls fall and the dark comes flooding in.
End log. CogitatorNet 138456M39.
Closing statements. Rain was summarily executed after this interrogation. Her final words, though cryptic, indicated deeper connection between Gethra Czar and our prisoner, KE0167, than we had anticipated. The cult appears to be focused on an eschatological event that threatens the very fabric of reality. Investigations into their connection with Xenos psychic phenomenon are ongoing.
Inquisitorial Archive, Segmentum Obscurus, Carcosan Sector. Vox Cogitator Net access terminated.
Well, there you go, guys. That's our first cult related or cult specific related Ordo Obscurus file. That was actually a special request by one of our new listeners. So we're going to try to steer a little bit more into essentially linking cult activity in the Carcosan sector, because that's a big part of 40K is where all these cults come
activity,
from.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Whispering Veil is a brand new cult. We'll probably return with some stuff on the Glass Eaters and the Emperor's Kindred and the other cults that we've got in the other under Hive itself. But I also feel like this is one of the first ones I've written where I could write more stuff that all kind of ends up sort of linking back into it. And if you guys have any ideas, if you were inspired, let us know, because this is a fun one. This was a fun one.
I think maybe I should join a cult, or maybe start one. It can be like the Sons of the Sacred Mop, or the Holy Cleaners. Yeah.
Okay, so I have to ask: do you guys know? Well, you should know, because you suggested a bunch of stuff. But do you know what planet and what legion the Remembrancer was attached to? I did redact everything.
You redacted it, so
yeah.
Is it the Soul Drinkers? No.
Nope, it's not the Soul Drinker.
Well,
it's a legion.
So
it's a legion. Right.
So this dude obviously got all fucked up in like M29, M30, and has been around ever since then.
Oh yeah, we talked about this. It's the Thousand Suns.
Yep. Yeah.
Prospero.
It was fun to like Battle of Prospero redacted. 6th Legion or 15th Legion redacted. Yeah.
Are we ready to talk about whales?
Yeah.
Whales in space.
Whales.
So there we go. That was our cults and Xenos gods part about it, and now we're into our space whales part, right?
Space whales. Space whales.
Right.
Space whales. Space whales. So they have two names. The High Gothic and Low Gothic. So just like obviously inspired largely by the space sharks, the Carcharodon Astra. So this is the space whales, the Astra Cetacea. And yeah, they love whales. You'll find out why. As we get into there's their insignia that goes on their shoulder.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I can't wait to freehand a bunch of that on little shoulder pads.
Oh, no.
Don't you love how it's coming? I almost jokingly said, so are they the Astro Welconicuses? But you have a much better name.
Cetacea.
Astra Cetacea. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Are we ready to read?
Hit us up.
Okay. Yep. So the first part of this is not the entire history of the chapter. This is just a snippet of it, and we'll go from there. So as Primarch Rebute Gilliman's Indominus Crusade rage.
What year?
Don't ask me years. I mean,
we're in M41.999, guys. We're in like the present of 40K.
It is.
I'm just giving you crap, man.
Well, I mean, especially because we open with the Indominus Crusade. So, and then they have retconned. So this is one of the things I read a lot about the Indominus Crusade when I started this. They have retconned it. Like initially, it was like it went on for 100 years, and then it went on for 12 years, and then now it's still going. No one's really sure.
So really, really early in the podcast, like episode 1, 2, or 3, we talked about the calendar and why the calendar is set up the way it is. And part of that discussion was actually the fact that there is an Ordo in the Inquisition called the Ordo Chronicus. And the Ordo Chronicus has actually been fighting about what year it is and how much time has passed for hundreds of years. And Rebute eventually went, what the fuck, guys? Tell me what year it was. So part of that, and again, this is them playing wibbly wobbly when they're writing, but part of the conclusion to that is that when they started the Indominus Crusade, they thought that it was like M41, but now they're pretty sure it's actually closer to M42. They're pretty sure almost 1,000 years of lost history has happened. So anyway, just a little aside.
This is also important as an aside because we're going to be talking about a character, one that I alluded to at the beginning of the story, which is Raul, who is not what he seems. He is a former Arbites. He is now a logistics officer in the Imperial Navy, and there's a little bit more going on there because the Inquisition, the Ordos. I've seen it written as Ordos Kronos as well.
That's a different one.
Kronos.
Yeah. Is that the same one, or is that
it's the
same one?
Yeah, they're also the time traveling dudes.
They are. They're responsible for making sure that time, like, they don't stop time travel necessarily, but they're supposed to stop interference, and they oftentimes end up erasing themselves from because they go back and prevent the thing from happening, and that prevents them from existing. It's a bit of an in-joke. And then they had disappeared for years, but now all of a sudden they're back. and they're fighting about the calendar, which is relevant. Anyway, so let's get into it. As Primarch Rabute Gilman's Indominus Crusade raged, clearing sectors of Chaos Taint and Xenos invasion, Belisarius Caul's war machine worked to fuel the growing need for troops and equipment. For 10,000 years, Caul labored to create thousands of Primaris Marines beneath his forge city on Mars. Many were created from the gene seeds of the 9 loyalist Primarchs. Among the thousands of Primaris Marines created by Belisarius Caul beneath his forge city on Mars was a reserve of 50 Marines left in deep stasis, referred to by the Mechanicus crews overseeing their stasis pods as the Drowned, so named as they had remained in suspended animation for an unprecedented period of time. Much of that spent submerged below water from malfunctioning coolant systems on a higher level. The flooding destroyed most, if not all, of the records regarding the Drowned, including notes on the gene seed stock and individualized records on its members. Fortunately, the tubes themselves were resilient enough, their power supplies still in good condition. An apparent data filing error by a malfunctioning servitor left their location all but forgotten for thousands of years.
So to jump in here,
yes,
a couple of things that I'm glad you went with and that are interesting and that I've actually been asked about recently a couple of times is the fact that there are there's a character in Space Marine 2. There's a Primaris Marine in Space Marine 2 that makes some comment about how he remembers being a child on Terra before the Crusade or before the siege, and people being like, well, why is he this old? And so really important to remember, and I'm really glad that you threw this in there. The Primaris project started during the Great Crusade.
Yes.
Before the heresy.
Before the heresy. Really important to note that the Emperor essentially had a plan to replace, like not necessarily replace in the way of like the way that he replaced the Thunder Warriors, but more as in when we release the next group of Astartes, they will be Primaris. They will not be like, we've perfected the technology. We're rolling out 2.0, guys. He was Steve Jobsing up on a platform, so to speak. The other thing that I liked that you did here, and this is something that I advocate a lot for when people write their own Space Marine chapters, is you did all of the right stuff. They're forgotten. It's a misfiling error.
Yeah.
You haven't been like the children of Marnius Calgar. Like, you haven't done any of the like, let me make them the most important and put them in the middle of the evolving story. You're literally like, nope, these forgotten dudes in the back storage bin, which I always think is a cool place to start writing a story.
It's literally like they left them in the basement and forgot about them.
Exactly. I love it.
Yeah, they should never be the most important. And of course, it's really open these days with just whole new chapters being founded, Primaris chapters being founded. You could just go, you don't have to, like, it could just be a completely new chapter. If you want, you can have this wonderful backstory, or you can say, you know what, this is a new Primaris crusading chapter. And you can write your lore as it starts. You could develop your lore as it starts during the Indominus Crusade if you want. Or you could attach to one like the size of the Emperor that was like destroyed down to 5 guys.
Right. Exactly.
So, of course, in my mind, I have answers to all these questions, but just like in 40K, and they always hint at it, right? And as I tell more stories about the Astra Cetacea, you'll get more of a sense of what I'm hinting at. But like, what gene seed stock did they use, right? Like, where did it come from, and why were they just sort of filed in the basement and forgotten about? Like. There's reasons for that. It's not because they are the they're not some like chimeric gene seed mix between like 30 and they're the ultimate. It's just and Call has said like he was up to some shit. Like he was experimenting, he was goofing around, he was trying to improve things, and like Call has like 37 different personalities. Like.
Only 26, Drew.
He's got 26 different personalities, and on this day he was having a good time. Yeah, tourist.
unless he deleted one and wrote a new one. Come on, man.
Which is a distinct possibility.
No, he could.
Delivery and logistics became a harrowing feat during the Indominus Crusade. War travel had become increasingly more treacherous as the ruinous powers exerted more influence from the Cicatrix Maledictum. Nearing the peak of the Crusade, many of the troops that had filled Cull's stasis vaults had been deployed to reinforce existing chapters, or as Grey Shields joining the ranks of the 9 legion-sized unnumbered sons. With few Marines remaining, and a desperate need for supplies and manpower on the front reaching a fevered pitch, a highly secretive reinforcement expedition to the front was commissioned, and Adeptus Logis Perfectus Titus Rahl was assigned to stock and deliver it.
There you go. He's here. He's back.
Here he is. Yeah. He will be an important character throughout all of this. I like that he is just like, he's just a numbers guy.
He's a dude.
He's just resupply guy. That's his thing. Former Arbites, don't mention it here, but he used to be an Arbites. The Adeptus Mechanicus cruiser Omnissiah's Axiom was selected for the task, and a skeleton crew was hand-chosen by Rahl himself, assigning the best of what few Imperial naval officers and Mechanicus engineers were available in short order.
Very cool. Yeah, again, you play a lot. You play in like the perfect place in my mind for Space Marines, and this is something that we've kind of talked about a little bit in the past. It's interesting because you had just mentioned that you hint at somebody's gene seed, but you never come out and say it.
Mm-hmm.
One of the rumors behind the War Criers, my Space Marine Legion or Space Marine chapter, is that they are from Horus's. They are from the uncorrupted Luna Wolf's gene seed, but it's a rumor.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of sad because there's no War Criers to refute it anymore. They're all dead. Well, they're all dreadnoughts, but like there's no War Criers left. There's 14 left, and 13 are in dreadnought armor. So like none of those guys are going to argue with you if you talk shit about them. But yeah, I love it. It's great to play with that, to stick away from chimeric gene seed, and you're playing in like the perfect, because like no one knows what Call did or what Call mixed together.
Yeah, and even at that, like having definitive answers is not what 40K does, right? And especially like they're not going to walk around and be like, they're not going to like one day open a book and be like, oh man, Call used this gene seed, and then start walking around like, guess where we're from, like all of the like I don't know, the Legion of the Damned. They're not like, oh, by the way, and we're the Firehawks. Did you know? Like they never like pointedly say it, right?
Hey, listen, when I'm done with my converted lion into Ferrus Manus with Ghost Rider's head, you'll know. No, I am working on that. I'm doing it. I've wanted to do it ever since they released the model for the lion. I'm like, I'm going to make Ferrus.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Rahl discovered the Drowned while auditing assets in deep storage for his mission. Recognizing the desperate need for more troops to fuel Gilman's ranks, Rahl requisitioned the 50 Marines, as well as a contingent of Mechanicus tech priests, Geno specialists, war machines, armor, and armaments. The Omnissiah's Axiom and its crew face an extraordinarily dangerous task. Crossing the rift with no support vessels, minimal crew, and its belly full of much-needed armor, war machines, and weapons to support the breaking fronts across the western reaches of the galaxy. The Omnissiah's Axiom represented an attractive target to those hoping to disrupt supply lines to the front and so logs, records, including navigational plans, were kept secret, but to all the highest levels of the administratum. The journey itself would have been mercifully uneventful if not for a catastrophic failure of the ship's Geller field during warp travel. Within minutes, the astropath guiding the ship was compromised. The Omnisize Axiom was thrown from the warp abruptly thanks to the quick work of its crew, but not before witnessing unspeakable horrors. The crew, light as it was now startlingly small. Only a handful remained. The navigator and much of the engine team left dead.
So question here.
Yes.
2 questions. One, was Rawl and Arbites on Mars?
No.
Okay. You can say I'm not telling you.
No, because I want to write some silly little history where he actually he's from all over. He worked as an Arbites on in Innsmouth. Like he's from Innsmouth.
Okay.
Like that's
so
where he cut his teeth.
Got it. Oh,
yeah,
that's dope. All right. So my second question is
you might be getting he works for the Inquisition secretly.
Okay.
We don't know this.
Okay. Right.
He works for that Inquisitional order we were just talking about, and he used to be a cop.
He's a time cop.
He's a time cop. It's a subtle reference to time cop.
Gotcha. Yeah. Did he just steal these 50 Marines? Was he just like, oh, look, nobody remembers these guys are around? Mine. Like, that's what just happened, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm glad I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'm like, I think he just fucking yoinked these Marines.
Mm-hmm. The Omnisize Axiom came out of warp space in the Carcosan sector and was immediately captured by the orbit of a nearby oceanic moon, Thalassica. Crippled, its engines offline, trapped in a slowly decaying orbit, and unrepairable in its present state. Rawl began a years-long effort to offload all the valuable storage to the moon's surface below using what few dropships they had. Establishing a small outpost, and with increasingly dwindling manpower, Rawl made the strategic decision to wake the long-sleeping Primaris Marines from stasis. Rawl had seen Space Marines before and knew how massive they were, but these Marines stood an average of 3.5 meters and appeared wider and heftier than the few Space Marines he had witnessed before. They immediately began to work establishing a beachhead and making contact with the population of human locals. The mostly peaceful human agrarian coastal villages sustained themselves on aquaculture as well as foraging for plants and wildlife in and around the tide pools and shallow oceanic shelves that skirted the archipelagos they called home.
So they're just very large boys.
Yeah, they're Primaris Marines. They're bigger than the average Primaris Space Marine. So they're
taller and wider.
They're taller and wider. They are
chunky
thicker
boys.
dudes. They are thick. They are not. Notice I said 3.5 meters tall.
Yes.
And our friend Tiberos, the Redwake, the largest Space Marine ever on record, would be about 6 inches taller. So
you kept him still larger, still the largest on record.
I didn't want to overshadow the man. You know, he's
is the goat.
Yeah,
truly.
One of the other things to do, and yeah, I'm kind of glad you just brought this up. One of the other things to do is make sure that you never make if you get hired by Games Workshop, do whatever. If you do not get hired by Games Workshop, make sure that you don't make your homebrew stuff more important than actual lore.
Yeah.
You never necessarily don't kill an existing character. Don't quote an existing character. And I kind of broke this rule a little bit when I wrote the Ordo Obscurus file because I have Primarch Lehman Russ ordering his men to destroy the Grimoires. But look at how I did it. He ordered his men to destroy 2 books. What happened was something that the Primarch would have done anyway, that is a throwaway that doesn't matter to his lore or his story. He did.
Mm-hmm.
2 magic books, fuck that shit, burn it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just something Russ would have said. So you can play along with that. You can play around with that, but you really want to be careful not to insert too much into an existing legion or an existing hero or an existing chapter. And this is one of those examples. You didn't make these guys the tallest Space Marines overshadowing the Red Wake. You said almost as.
Yeah. And one of the things that like Tiberos he's big for a Space Marine, but he's exceptionally large just amongst the the space sharks amongst the Carcharodon right? Like he's huge. But like that doesn't mean the rest of the space sharks are really big. He is unique amongst them. What I wanted to communicate was there's only a handful of these guys, and they are all on average just much bigger.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, with no clear explanation as to why.
Do they serial crush guys?
Serial crush?
It's a reference to the first Boondock Saints movie.
Oh, okay.
He was serial crushed by a huge fucking guy.
It's been a while since I've seen that movie.
It's not. I remember it being really fucking good. Like back in the day, I remember going back and watching it and being like, "This is kitschy and fun. This is not really good."
You need to watch. If you haven't watched the documentary about the guy who wrote and directed it, and that whole like it's an interesting story.
It's a very interesting story. That's actually why I watched the movie. I saw the documentary first.
Oh, interesting.
But yeah, okay. So sorry. So the other thing I really like is you put them in the Carcosan sector.
Of course, yes, because I want them to be. They're in. I haven't mentioned this specifically, but in my little brief that isn't here, they're in as a thoth space. They're up in the north. They're very, very isolated. They're like this. They're in this weird planetary system where this is a habitable moon. It is larger than Earth size, so it's got a little bit more gravity than Earth size. It is mostly ocean. It itself has a bunch of sub moons or sub satellites, as they're known. Right. So it's a moon on a huge gas giant. Then it's got sub satellites around it, and that means that it's got like these crazy tides all the time.
Oh yeah, the orbits.
Swing wildly.
Crazy. Yeah. Okay.
And so the oceans are very, very deep, but then the archipelagos themselves have these like large have these large sort of like continental shelves. Yeah. Okay. So like where it's like. It's between like 30 to 120 feet deep, but then all of a sudden like huge drop-offs.
Massive drop-off.
Yeah.
So Azazoth space and the Mergent worlds, which are in our map, they're rimward, and rimward means the rim of the galaxy. That is the place where the halo stars touch the Carcosan sector. So the Carcosan sector is almost as far out as you can get in Segmentum Obscurus
from the galactic core.
From the core, yeah. So this is weird. So you're playing with Halo Star Space, which is always fun too.
Yeah.
I don't know if you talk. I don't know if you hint at them, but we have an alien space. We have a podcast generated alien species that lives out there too.
Ooh. Well, maybe they'll interact one day. This is another reason for this. Also, is because what do the space sharks do? They patrol the outside of the galaxy. So. Yeah. Part of the inevitable trajectory for this is, and we'll get to this at the very end, is they will eventually perhaps bump into them. So, yeah,
sharks and whales.
Are they gonna sink yachts? Is what I need to know.
Oh, absolutely.
Do
they headbutt rogue traders for fun?
I love that idea.
They team up to take down the wealthy. Yeah.
Right. They really just want to get rid of the High Lords of Terra. That's the big one. Fuck those guys.
Not long after the last stores of fuel keeping the Axiom from being captured by Thalastica's atmosphere failed, its wreckage falling to the bottom of the northernmost ocean. For 10 years, the Drowned worked alongside Rawl and the remaining crew to establish a small imperial base on Thalassica, employing the pre-industrial humans of the planet as serfs and general labor. The Drowned worked to help maintain peace and order, integrating with the locals as senior leadership, law enforcement, and quelling a chaos cult that worshipped a deep-dwelling, tentacled, squid-like creature. In these early days, Kalatos Seator set himself apart as the bravest and most capable leader among the Drowned. He impressed the locals who revered him, deferring to him in matters of civil management, having impressed them with his extraordinary feats of physical prowess and wise demeanor. Freediving for food on the sea floor of Thalassica had risen to the point of becoming a recreational sport among the people, and Kalatos established himself a champion in those competitions handily, capable of diving to depths no ordinary human could, and able to hold his breath longer, dive deeper, and swim faster than any of his fellow Marines.
Like all the like little tiny like whale things that are in here. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. So they do this like free diving thing like recreationally, but this will come in handy when they figure out that there's some stuff at the bottom of the ocean that might be important.
Okay, I really, 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 and I know that this would be like crazy levels of universe breaking bullshit that you should not do in any of your homebrew.
Mhm.
But the Ideneth Deepkin worship what is called the Drowned God.
Mm.
And if he somehow existed on the world of Thassalasica, and there was some type of connection there, like the drowned god of the old world is the same as sort of like some kind of benthic sea creature that these Marines encountered in some way.
So
Similar presence.
I don't get into this here, but like as we develop, as I share more of the history of these guys, we'll talk about it a little bit more. But we one of the things is that the oceans are there's actual whales. They're giant, sort of like ancient space whales that are sentient.
Yeah, you told me.
Yes. So they live there, but they are peaceful, nice things, and everything's cool. But there's also these like giant chaos kraken that live at the bottom, and the whales eat them. The whales hunt them, and then eventually the Space Marines get on board with that as well. So
That's
And,
fucking dope.
and oddly enough, well, no, I'm going to save this until the end, but I have a tie-in, and you already know the tie-in, but we've got a tie-in.
Also, I have a question for you, Drew.
yes,
What does Kalatos mean?
I
in
can't remember.
Greek? Oh,
I really can't. I that was from like 4 months ago when I wrote this initially. Yeah.
Do you have any of these guys painted yet?
Hold on.
All I'm finding is a very cool lamp you can buy called the Kalatos.
Do you know where they are? They're under Emmy's bed in my mini box. We'll drag them out sometime. I'll take some pictures and post them.
Oh, yes. I can take them out and take pictures of them.
Yeah. I do have a dreadnought that's unpainted. I just have the base that I made, and everything's going to be all like tide pooly, so everything's going to be like shallow. So there's going to be like
resin and stuff.
Yeah, and there'll be like little like deflated sea anemones and stuff.
Okay, well, I tried to search what Kalatos meant, and it just translated my webpage into Polish, so I'm going to stop trying.
That's what it means.
The other thing
it means Polish.
There's a reason why there's humans on this planet too. This is a dormant forge world.
Okay.
Yeah, at there wasn't always oceans everywhere, and at the bottom of the ocean is actually an ancient
heresy level
shipyard,
heresy
era shipyard. Okay. It's actually Dark Age of Technology era. So they would build the ships underwater, and then Mon Calamari style, they build them underwater and then lift. That's why it's on the poles too. It's on the northern pole. So because it's easier, it's easier to escape orbit from the poles than it is. From the poles and from the equator than it is from anywhere else.
Which is why Cape Canaveral is where Cape Canaveral is.
Yeah. So there are a couple. If you wanted to add them into your lore, there are a couple of designers who have done undersea chaos space marines.
Yeah. The dredge.
The dredge is one of them, but there are other ones too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They're also like there's a Loyalist chapter that's the Krakens as well. These guys don't have beef with them. They don't care for chaos. One of the things that I mine from
the Krakens are they are a salamanders.
Cool.
So they're nice. They don't have beef with anybody, but they're salamanders successor chapter. Verified.
The one of my inspirations for this was actually the Celtic stories of their sea god, which is Manon or Menon or whatever, which is actually one of the things that Emmy, I'm glad you brought that up. The Ideneth Deepkin actually borrow a lot from that Celtic mythology as well.
Oh, yeah. That's dope.
Yeah, so
I
my
just
guys
figure,
don't look like this. They do not look like they're wearing deep sea suits. They do have some like underwater stuff, sort of like worked into some. But I'm going for
these
more
guys
like
just look neat.
These guys are really cool.
Mainly saying that if you've got this
somebody to fight against.
This drowned, deactivated heresy era forge world. Maybe there are some forgotten chaos space marines living down there too. That's where I was going.
Oh yeah.
Not that I thought your guys should be wearing deep sea suits, but maybe their opponents.
It's a distinct possibility. There's certainly part of it that I haven't fleshed out. There is eventually they will find that what's significant is at the bottom of this ocean is their flagship that they have yet to discover.
Their battle barge.
Their battle barge.
Their pirate ship.
It's smaller than a battle barge. It's like cruiser sized.
Okay.
And like one of the things with Manon, the story of Manon, is he has a ship, right? He's the god of the sea. He has a ship, and his ship is actually like it's sentient. It's alive, right? Like it has its own agency. And similar to that, as is this one. I know that there's another story about a sentient ship in 40K lore. There's quite a few from the Dark Age of Technology, as a matter of fact.
Realistically, like we haven't really talked about this in a while, but like machine spirit is the Catholic excuse way of saying AI.
Yeah.
Like they're not supposed to make thinking machines. They're not. But it's okay if there's machine spirits. And like the truth is what we consider to be AI is essentially a machine spirit.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
Yeah. And just like a lot of this, like it's one of these things where like when this becomes a part of the story, they're not going to walk around and be like, and that's our sentient ship. Like they keep it a closely guarded secret.
Right. Exactly.
Like they don't want anyone to know.
Remember when the Planet Express ship merged her programming with Bender?
That was great.
That was very bad.
All of my computers are named after spaceships, like from famous science fiction settings. My main computer, the computer that I record everything on, is the Hellforge. The Hellforge is one of the few demon ships that exist. And a demon ship is what happens when a demon engine and an AI from the Dark Age of Technology meet and become one. The Hellforge is literally entire. I think it's a word bearers. I can't remember which legion it's part of, but it obviously it's a chaos ship. But it was once one of the legion ships, and now it's just a demon that it's like legitimately a battle barge that's one demon. There's no crew on it anymore.
So the name of their flagship is the Tide Maw. That's what they call it. Its real name is like from like pre-heresy. Its given name before it was before as it was being commissioned was Glory's Anthem, Brilliant Guardian of the Infinite, Emissary of the Heavenly Fields, because I don't know, they were into poetry back then, and that is sort of like that's what it regards as its true name. And it has sort of like bioorganic circuitry that shares some similarity to the sentient space whales that live, or they're not space whales, the sentient aquatic whales that live in the ocean.
Nice.
So yeah, they kind of like borrow from that a little bit. Yeah. On to our next part of the story, though, in our last part. After 12 years marooned on Thalassica, an early autumn morning's parting clouds revealed the fleet of large ships set low in its orbit. An envoy from the ship set down at the Drown's fortification, and from their landing craft emerged armor-clad marines of the Carcharodon Astra, the Space Sharks. Having detected the faint Imperial distress signal from the Axiom's black box, the Sharks had come to investigate. When they discovered the Primaris Marines, they were taken aback, having never seen such massive fellow superhumans. When they conferred and shared information with Rawl, his fellow Marines and tech priests were shocked to learn the startling truth. They had emerged 12 years from the warp. They had emerged 12 years ago from warp space, some 100 years before they had set out.
Nice. You played with time. Love it.
Yeah. Well, I wanted them to be Primaris, but I wanted to give them time to develop their own culture and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, because so many Space Marine chapters are like they're tied closely to the planet they're from. I didn't want them to show up like day one and go like, oh, we're from this planet and now we're part of this culture. Like, no, they have spent years, and by the time we're done, they'll have spent 100 years with with both the people and the culture on this planet, as well as they're about to be conscripted into the Space Sharks for a period of time. They're going to complete a bit of what the Sharks consider a repentant crusade for them, basically. Even though they were marooned for essentially abandoning their post, right? They're like, no, you should have been fighting this whole time. You should have done a better job. You're going to come with us and do some fighting. But at the end, they're going to be like, so now you know how to fight like sharks, but you're not sharks. You're not one of us. We still have our like forever repentance. Your time is served. Go back to your stupid moon. Go figure your shit out. So, yeah.
They'll release them for their
Yeah.
repentant crusade again. That's one of the things that I really like that you did that, because one of the things that so I posted up some pictures recently in Hobby Progress of I dug out my original War Criers tanks, and the War Criers I'm getting somewhere. The War Criers were originally me being like, what if Imperial Stormtroopers from Star Wars were a Space Marine chapter? Listen, guys, I was like 18. I was like 16, 17, 18 when I did this. So the War Criers have changed a lot since then. But as part of that, and as part of thinking about everything, as part of the Primaris being out, I've kind of thought about putting together a Primaris kill team of War Criers, more for like a nostalgic purpose, because I wrote them into what they are. They're 13 dreadnoughts that are only called upon in cases of extreme fucking need, because there's just no more of them left. But I played around with the idea of like, obviously they send back gene seed to gene stocks, so Terra can just make more War Criers whenever they want. And I've kind of played around with what are the story implications of a bunch of like Primaris, like 100 Primaris War Criers showing up in the Skaldmard subsector and just being like, yo guys, we're back. And
that's fun.
And the Tech Priest and the War Criers that are in their dreadnoughts being like, you are not part of our culture. Like you've never been like what are the ramifications? So I like that you did this. Okay, so here's the other part. Here's the other thing I was driving at. What are these guys? What's their paint scheme? What do they look like? How did they come about? When did you start working on them? Is this the same thing where like you came up with the idea 20 years ago and you've been slowly working on it? Like hit us.
This is relative. I think I started probably about 2 years ago.
Okay,
when we started talking about it.
Yeah, like I wanted to do because I saw the Primaris models. I love the Primaris models. I know some people feel very strongly about them. They don't like them. Some people think that it's a very contentious thing.
I hated the early implementation of the lore. I'm getting more in line with it as they kind of like add to it and fix some of the issues. I've always loved the idea of true scale Marines, though. Like I've always loved the idea.
Yeah, I don't mind I don't mind the Primaris. What I mind is the number of new units they have.
I mean that would have been a problem if we had original Marines, though. Even back in the day, Marines constantly have bloat. They have had forever.
I mean, my biggest issue with that is that, like, for me, there wasn't a clear sort of one-to-one in terms of how the Primaris translated to like the old tactical Marines, like, or they like we have Devastators, and then we have what are the equivalent of the Devastators called? They look corny as hell, though. I don't like them. They have
they have the giant Nerf gun guys.
Yeah, they have like guns on their
on their arms. They're the flying ones with no, they don't fly, but they've got the underslung the guns underslung under their forearms.
Yeah, I just don't like the mechanism. Yeah.
So you had so instead of tactical guys, you've got intercessors, and then you've got multiple shades of intercessors.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you do have like. You've got
the Eradicators, and
you've got assault. I mean, you've got basic, but then they started adding all these other things.
There are like the heavy support grav guys. They have like big like smart guns that also fly. I think that's kind of, I don't know. I feel like that's leaving Marine territory a little bit for me too.
Yeah, and I really don't like the impulsor tanks. And stuff like that.
I don't care for them either.
I think anti-grav for the Imperium is just not grimdark. It should have tracks. That's just me.
Yeah, I mean, if you're
being a White Scars boy and a 30K White Scars boy, I love my jet bikes.
Oh no, jet bikes are fine. Okay. I just don't like floaty tanks.
Okay.
I feel like there's a way to do floaty tanks, but not the way that I'm not comfortable with the way they did it. I don't like how high off the ground, for example, they sit. Like, do it so it's like an inch off the ground, not like 10 feet.
I like the orc looted floaty tanks where they put the floaty tanks on tracks because they don't They can't figure out how the antigrav works, so they just put it on like wheels.
Slap it on. That's cute. So this is where we're going to take a break here. There's still lots more story to tell. They go in their little repentant crusade.
What's their color scheme and stuff like that?
Oh, their color scheme is it's like an aqua green blue. It's like it's
really gorgeous.
It's like a light teal sort of thing. Yeah, like a teal ocean blue kind of, or it's a teal with twinges of green in it.
Yes.
Okay.
Is it like a mottled, or is it just like
no? It's they're like they're one color essentially, and
it's a very unique color. I'll take pictures soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was imagining like what's the Titan Legion, which I've always thought is cool because it has those colors, but I don't want to paint it. It's like Solara, where you've got to do like sponging and all to get this like shadowy mottled tealy green.
It is certainly that color, but I did all mine with like airbrushing and stuff like that, so they all have like this like even they just look, I don't know, they look polished, but I did do like chipping and stuff on them, so yeah. I just wanted to look at them and say ocean. The color palette that I was looking for inspiration of again was like tide pools, like the Atlantic, like if anyone is familiar with like Peggy's Cove in Atlantic Canada has the most significant tides of anywhere on the planet. The largest high and low tides are at Peggy's Cove.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it's like that, like blues and greens and like, but like with also like a certain amount of brightness. Like this is what Thelastica looks like, by the way. It is
looks like Nova Scotia.
But the idea being that it is like rocky and there aren't like tall mountains and stuff like that. It is mostly just like these archipelagos with like these fjords and just these like simple little fishing villages and stuff like that. It is a quaint, like calm little place with terrible tentacle monsters at the bottom of the ocean.
I like that.
I mean, you gotta have
Yeah.
terrible tentacle monsters.
Yeah. And ancient secrets.
So obviously we're going back and forth and talking about all of this stuff. But one of the things that we did earlier in the podcast was we brainstormed a bunch of different things. And one of the things that we brainstormed, and I've been talking with Drew a little bit about this, is that there is a race that lives in Azazoth space that the rogue traders trade with a lot. And they are essentially cephalopod centaurs.
Okay.
So they kind of have like a Zote-ish looking body, but they've got a cephalopod head. They wear breathing apparatus because they are from an ocean world. They would have originally walked on the bottom of an ocean, but they became spacefaring and they're now pretty widespread and they're big traders. They're big traders in like alien tech. And they specifically trade a bunch of technology with the rogue traders and therefore the Imperium. And Drew and I have already kind of discussed a little bit, like, how did these guys negatively impact the space whales? So we'll have a little bit more development. We'll go in there, but yeah, this is the way that I've always looked at approaching Space Marine chapter creation, and you exemplify with what you just shared with us. Is you start small, start with an idea. Make sure that it's not really connected to anything. There's probably a handful of other tips that we could share, but there's a document that actually exists, and we'll look it up and share it. There's a couple of things. We've already shared this. If you join our Discord now and you go, I believe I put it in the art thread, but I may have put it in hobby supplies or no, I think I put it in the art thread. There are a bunch of templates that you can download for like coloring your own Space Marine, basically.
There is, if you're on the iPhone, there's a great app also.
Yeah. And now you can just play Space Marine 2.
And now you can just play Space. That's true. But there's also a bunch of other stuff you can do. One of the really big things that one of the really big and fun things is there's like, I think it's like 30 questions or 35 questions that you can answer that help you kind of develop some of the Space Marine stuff. But at the end of the day, the really big things to avoid, the pitfalls to avoid, chimeric gene seed, just stay away from it. Pick something. and realize, and Drew did this in a brilliant way, and it's the same. I think it's brilliant because it's the same thing I did. Without him and I talking about it, there's a hint as to where they came from, and that's it. And then you just leave it. You never have to explain it. And the reason you never have to explain it is the way that the gene seed is set up. Unless you specifically want to play with like the Canis gene or the blood, I can't remember what the name of the blood gene. But unless you specifically want to deal with like the Canis helix or the blood rage stuff that the blood angels have or anything like that, if you don't want to play with that stuff, if you just want to make up your own thing, it really doesn't matter who they're descended from. They could be descended from Ultramarines. It does not matter. You can pick everything you want based off of that if you want to. So like, you can.
Yeah. Emmy mentioned the Silver Skulls earlier. They're like
they're ultras, but they're not.
They're nothing like ultras.
Yeah.
Like the one hint that I will eventually start giving as to the origin of these guys is, number one, they're all very big. They're all giants, and number two, they all have low levels of psychic ability. Are all low level psychers. They're all giant psychers that may give you an idea of where they may came from. Yeah.
I mean, and if you don't like it, you just, there's always the unknown founding.
Yeah. But like never, like, I don't want to ever put my finger on it. Right. Like, I don't want to ever come out and say, and then they found the book and it said, oops, we came from this gene seed. Right. Like there's no point in doing that. And I think it's more fun to just allude to things anyway. In some cases, there is some value, like to being like, yeah, this is our parent chapter, and here are the things that we adopted from it, and this was our journey of becoming independent, right? Like there are a few chapters that are like that, and that's just sort of like a different approach to it. But like especially if you want to do weird stuff, like or if you want to do like your chapter, Ryan, they're from the Luna Wolves, right? Like,
that's the hint. I mean, so that's the rumor. That the truth is, if somebody were to actually press me to a wall, I would probably say Space Wolves,
right?
Because I would pick a Loyalist Legion, but
somewhat heretical, right? Because especially at the time, that wasn't happening. Now we fixed it, right? It's okay.
Yeah.
But I do like that. Like one of the things that the Primaris retcon did was say that like it gave us license to say, yeah, they're from a different gene seed stock that isn't one of the Loyalist ones. Like they actively said yes. Call went back to, and we've had several other references.
You have Trader Gene. They specifically said you got Trader Gene seed. So just
well, from the original Primarchs, right?
Right.
It's not Trader.
That's a pre-corrupted.
It's pre-corruption gene seed.
Yeah.
So I want to just show people. This is a program. I don't know if it's on Android. It's definitely on iOS. It's called ImpCat.
It's on Android.
It's on Android. So you could load up basically models, and then you can paint each of the different components. What's good about this? There are two things that are really good about this. One is you can pick your paint company. So you can pick Vallejo paints, you can pick Citadel, you can pick Scale 75, you can pick whatever you want, right? They have a lot of them. They've got like 20 different
that's
in
what
there.
It looks like. Yeah.
That's what it looks like. And you can set your base color, your layer color, your shade color. So for one part, like your knee pad, you could say, well, we're going to base it in Mephiston red. We are going to layer in Wild Rider red. We're going to shade it with Seraphim sepia. You could do all of those things for that component and copy it over to others. So of course it isn't perfect, but it gives you a good idea of like the whole series
do
of
this
points.
in my head.
You don't just say red.
Right.
Like you know, like if you're doing a PDF and you say I'm going to put red, and it actually layers each of the colors on. So you get the indication of how it looks with a base, a shade, a highlight, how those all layer paint, how those all work together, and it changes at each. So it's not just red; it's a combination of all of those, and it's a great idle game if you don't do it for anything else, because on a long trip, you could sit there and paint your marine. And they don't just have Marines. They've got orcs. They've got assassins. They've got Necromunda hivers. They've got, and each of the components is individually selectable. So I think it's pretty cool.
You
Check the registry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
There's the boys.
Very cool. These
that's
look
a nice
dope.
color. I like that color.
There's another one there. Yeah.
Hey, look at these. These look really good, man.
So that's generally the paint scheme.
Look at that boy.
And our chapter master will unfortunately meet. Cetor is the chapter master. If you haven't figured that out, and he will meet with an unfortunate accident in the near future.
Oh no!
Because he will be he'll be a dreadnought because he's got to be the biggest. I really wanted to evoke like whale imagery, and they're huge, right? Biggest animals on the planet, blue whale.
Mm-hmm.
Biggest animals in history. This includes all the dinosaurs that we found up at this point. Is blue whales still bigger? And we're not counting whatever the fragment of a shin bone of the thing that we think is a giant sauropod. Blue whales are the biggest, and so I wanted to be able to sort of evoke that a little bit. So he's the chapter master will be a dreadnought, which is why I kept asking you guys, hey, is there any precedence to there being a dreadnought chapter master? And there are a few, including Bjorn, the fell-handed. And there is another sort of like lesser known chapter that's written about in official GW fiction. I can't remember their name, where they have an active dreadnought.
I think one of the things that might be interesting, and then they had in The Beast Arises, he's not a chapter master, but The Beast Arises is in like M32, right, Ryan? So the guy's
M32. It's right after
the guy's
scouring.
been awake since the heresy. So that's the whole thing. Dreadnoughts can only sleep when they're shut down.
Yeah.
If they're active, they're awake. And that can lead to the whole psychosis thing.
They eventually
awake for thousands of years.
So there's a book series by William Dietz. I think it's by William Dietz. That's essentially like, what if the French Foreign Legion was a sci-fi world? And then it goes even further. Or what if the French Foreign Legion existed in the science fiction setting? And it goes even a step further, because there's a bunch of like, if you're a prisoner, your brain can be literally taken out and slotted into giant walking robots. But when you're not in a giant walking robot, you are essentially in like isolation prison. And the entire book series deals with like, what does that fundamentally do to break people down? And every single time dreadnoughts get brought up, I think about that book series, because it's the same. It's the exact same fucking thing.
Was that Armor? No, that's Armor was Steakley.
No, Armor is a standalone. The William Dietz novels there's like a bunch of them.
I think I've read them.
I think it might be I Am Legion.
I did send you one more image if you want to.
Legion of the Damned.
Okay.
I sent you an image of one that is a little bit closer to being finished as well.
Oh, cool. These are really dope, by the way, man.
Yeah. So brass, metallic brass for like the highlights for the belt, shoulder pad, the eagle. One of the things I'm going to do is, I think on like my future guys, replace the eagle with a whale's fluke. So it's like the tail of the whale.
Okay.
In metal on their chest, kind of like how, especially like for like, I don't know, might like do like captains or something like that, having that, because again, that's a common thing. Like you don't see the eagle on like the Space Wolves and stuff like that, right? Like for certain chapters, they just don't necessarily adopt like the most standard imagery. And I just want them to stand out, be a little bit unique. They also have on this one, you might be able to see a little bit on his belt. I haven't painted it on this one. He's got a shell. They all have conch shells.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, that's like an indication of rank. So the sergeants have conch shells.
That's fucking dope, man.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Super awesome. Well, guys, I think that kind of wraps this up, right? I mean,
yeah.
There'll be more story later, but this is it for now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you guys, how do I do that? I don't have a hook. And that wraps it up for part one.
Let's just
of the space whales.
Yeah.
If you guys have any questions about the show or you want to get into contact with us about this specific episode, you can do that by emailing us at underthehiveofmadness@gmail.com.
You can also find us on Discord and join the conversation about existing lore, world building, gaming, and much more. Details about the show can be found on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Check out our website at underthehiveofmadness.com. Check out our link tree to find all sorts of links to keep up with everyone in the cast hobby progress and internet meanderings. Links and spellings will be in the show notes.
Support us through Patreon at www.patreon.com/underthehiveofmadness. Join an awesome crew including Thomas, Rupert, and Ickbard for access to extra content and a chance to snag some cool merch in our monthly giveaway.
Help the podcast grow by liking and reviewing us wherever you get your podcast fix. Our home is Spotify, but you can find us on Audible, Apple Podcasts, CastBox, iHeartRadio, Radio Public, and more.
In the underbelly of Innsmouth Hive, in an air choked, thick with fumes, in places where the light rarely touches, something strange is brewing. For those brave enough, crack open a bottle of 2 Noblars and a coat, the finest fungi beer this side of the sump.
Fermented from the best underhive shroom crops, smashed together with secret strains scavenged from the deep dark. It's as brews wild as a ganger's brawl and twice as unpredictable. The kind of drink that'll have you thinking, was that 2 Noblars or just one too many?
Best served cold, if you can get your hands on it before the next brawl kicks off. Ask for it by name in the darkest corners of the hive, and remember, it's stronger than it looks. 2 Noblars and a coat, packed with enough flavor to make even a servitor raise an eyebrow.
They don't have eyebrows, Ryan.
They do when you draw them on them. I mean, Drew's constantly chasing me around, erasing them, but I draw the eyebrows on.
I love that. I love the idea of like kids with like rattle can, like putting eyebrows on servitors in the hive.
Proving overgrown mutant rats aren't the only unwholesome creatures let loose across the Underhive. We are the Lost Souls of Rebellion, 665.66 UHMR Chemrat Radio. Reminding all of you chemrats, hive mice, and sump ghoulies to keep those dials fixed right here. Same ratty frequency for a dose of the same ratty-ass attitude. Don't worry about the four-armed emperors. They're just an administratum rumor to keep you inside at night.
That's true.
And remember, always read a motherfucking book.
Amen.
All right, guys, don't loot the corpses.
Yeah, don't do that.
Good night.